Okay, wrong TV show, but the quote's still the same. Welcome to the Three Body Narrative. We are your hosts, Pradyum and Naeem, and we are here back in Hawkins yet again to discuss Stranger Things Season 5, Part 1. So, what is Stranger Things all about? Well, we're not going to dive all the way from we're not going to do a recap from season 1 to season 4, but we'll just give
Definitely.
you a synopsis of what season 5 part 1 is all about. So Hawkins is breaking apart as the upside down leaks into the real world. 11 hides from the government while the group searches for Vecna, who begins a new plan targeting Will. The team regroups, uncovers new dangers, and prepares for the final showdown. All right. Yes. And so let's start with our ratings for part one. Of course, this season, like I think the previous season, is broken up into different parts. So we've got part one now, we've got part two coming out this month, later on this month, and then ending it all off, I think, at Christmas? No, at New Year's. New Year's with
No,
the final part.
30th, right?
New Year's
31st,
Eve.
I think.
Yeah. So New Year's Eve with the final one. So we're gonna only be reviewing the first part because that's all that's been released. 4 episodes. So Naeem, take it away with your rating.
Right. So again, my rating is based off of the fact that this is volume one, and that heavily weighs into the rating in itself because the season is incomplete, and that reflects heavily on the story being told. And as such, also bear in mind that I've really liked this show over the first, over the 4 seasons that have come out so far. So the expectations were quite high, and as a result of that, I think this season I'm a little bit torn apart because obviously I really love these characters. Um, so it's between a 3 and a 3.5. Um I'm struggle to take that point 0.5 away from them, but I think in my mind I had set such high targets for this uh, season that it did feel a bit of a letdown in a sense.
Okay.
Like there are some really good bits in there, but I think it's a good setup. But the problem is because there is a month long gap between now and the eventual uh, story unveiling itself, all of that. I don't think it like it doesn't feel right to rate it right now, to be honest. But if I have to, like, since I am on the pedestal to kind of give it a rating, it is an unfinished story, obviously, and because of that, um the setup only, for the most part, does not feel like it's paid off yet. And I'm also worried from like what I think is a pacing concern. Like I feel some parts are being rushed through now. Also, I feel like I think there's a lot of story still left to be covered in terms of story arcs for a lot of these characters, and
Okay.
how they're going to wrap it up in the next 6 episodes is a little bit of a concern for me. Unless it's like all of these are like the next 6 episodes are like 1.5 hours each, then probably, yeah, perhaps they're able to kind of close the story threads off in a way where it feels satisfying. But yeah, it's a decent setup. Now everything is on how the next volume kind of takes it away from there, I suppose.
So what's your final rating? Because you said three and a half, and you couldn't
I'll
take
give it
away
a
the
3.5 out of 5 because obviously, like, there is a special place in my heart for this group of young talent, or not so young anymore. But yeah, like I mean, the
yeah.
kids that are not kids anymore, I suppose. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I will give this a 3.5 as well out of 5. I was also contemplating whether now to just give it a 3, but I think there are things that I did like about it. Um, Acting not being one particular part of it for some characters. Uh, but honestly, I love when the kids do the planning and the sort of the tasks that they are assigned to do, and
My
all of
favorite
that.
part,
Yeah,
the first episode, the crawl thing that's happening, I loved it.
yeah. So that was
And
always something that I really loved about it. Even in season 2, when they had the plan in the hospital and bringing Will and hatching all of that. So the hatching of the plan, the callback to the Great Escape. By the way, go check out our review of that. Uh, and I love the entire bit of that. I do like certain elements of the Vecna story in a bit. I like the fact that we don't know where he is for the most part of it, and he's sort of this, hidden away mysterious creature, but we do see a part of him obviously, and I like certain elements of that. Uh, I love certain characters in this, and I think we'll maybe discuss about it a little while later. But overall, I felt there were there were moments where I was a little tense and a little like eager to see what was going to happen, and at times I felt like, oh, is that it? And then we come to the ending, which I'm still a little bit torn about. While I kind of maybe understand it, I also feel like they've gone a very mainstream route in a slightly different way, and I don't know if when we come to that, if what I say could get us cancelled, but I will still try and be as diplomatic as possible when it comes to that. All right, so that's my ratings, or that's our ratings for season 5, volume 1. So let's start off with our favorite parts of the season, and that is the crawl.
yeah,
Right?
oh my god, like the setup, the tone, the way everything is coming together, the feel, right? Like I think it's a major callback to the season 2 planning and how those things. And season 2 for me till this date is my favorite season of Stranger Things. Like I really love the whole demo dogs. Also the Steve and Dustin friendship that happens in season 2. All of that dynamics that's there, and how they kind of the friends are separated from each other during the whole this thing, and how that's playing out. Um, and just
That
the
was a
way,
season that both of us watched it like from the first episode till the last together.
yeah, we binged it, yeah,
Yeah.
together. I think we had a sleepover or something.
No,
I
no,
don't
no. I
no,
was
no,
in
no.
the
We did it
UK.
remotely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, I love the way everything is being planned. Even the way Murray,
Yeah, Murray. Yeah, Murray.
uh, him sneaking in, all of those things. By the way, which is very unrealistic considering he's coming into a military.
Yeah.
What
Military zone.
military zone? I mean,
Yeah.
whatever that is. Because that area is like cordoned off for the most people. Also very unrealistic in terms of how many people are still staying in Hawkins, considering the level of threat that's there, like how government
It
is
doesn't seem
allowing
to
all.
bother them. They were going sledding on that entire the. First of all, I don't know how they covered that chasm with metal and all of that, because it seemed quite a big, like
Big,
massive
yeah, I
hole.
know.
But I love the fact that kids didn't care. They were just sliding down those metal steps, which I guess, to be fair, we would too. We would not probably be sledding, we'd probably be playing cricket or something like that, or football on it. But
But
yeah,
I mean, as kids, you kind of don't really understand the real danger that lies beneath, as
I
it is.
mean, when you see the ground open up, like that's a different
Yeah,
story altogether. But yeah, you're right. I love the setting up, man. I loved how Robin's on the radio giving the hints, and they're in school taking down the notes and deciphering
yeah.
what time and everything. And I was like, it was
I
so
love how
quintessential, like 80s.
he was like putting in all of the background sounds that are supposed to come through as well. That was so cool. The timing that's there, and like the way they're giving out the location, and how the crawl is going to go about, what time and stuff like that. That's pretty awesome. Everything in that first episode was like really like a good start to the season is what I thought. Like I was really excited by it for the most part.
Okay. Yeah. But in that first episode, we also come to kind of, there were hints maybe in the last season about this potential love triangle between
Yeah.
Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve, right?
Yeah.
And I think here they're really laying it on thick. We're like, yeah, okay, this is actually happening. And I think this starts off again with a subtle hint when they're planning, and Nancy's and Steve's really close to Nancy, and she gets a little flustered. But yeah, that's interesting to see how how that develops. I don't know how much I care about it, in the sense that we've already had that love story play out in the earlier seasons, and I feel like Jonathan and Nancy were a pretty tight couple here. So I don't see the reason as to why Steve needs to come in again. I think I love the fact that Steve moved on and developed the friendship with Robin and Dustin and stuff like that. So that for me felt like, oh no, not again.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it. It's not something that they're doing for the first time. But it was clear that it was kind of heading towards that, or inkling towards it towards the end of season 4, right? Like I think it was kind of, the writing was on the wall, or whatever you want to call it. I did expect this to happen. I think, personally, I only think this gets sorted with one of them dying. To be honest,
Yeah.
It just feels like there is I feel like the biggest surprise that can happen is, so far it's always felt like Steve that's gonna die, and now suddenly for me this season it suddenly felt like Jonathan might actually be the one who.
Is that because he's got the engagement ring and he's gonna propose, and that's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
recipe for disaster.
I think it's like one of those tropes kind of a thing. I mean, and again, like I think it also helps from the fact that as much as people love Steve, there is this inherent feeling that he's the one who's gonna be killed off, right? Like, and probably it's like one of those surprises that they can kind of spur with Jonathan. But I do like, I mean, I'll be fairly surprised if both of them walk away with this, and it would be extremely surprising if Nancy's the one who who ends up biting the dust. So I don't know.
So I think Jonathan also has, the way they could maybe. So I remember when we did probably the trailer reaction for this. I don't know if we put it out there, but no, we did. Sorry, we did put it out.
We definitely did
put it out. I just realized that I remember creating the creative, but yeah, no. So for that, I remember saying that I think Jonathan could possibly be a victim, and that's because Will, being the central character, gives him that opportunity to kind of be that big brother and save his life and do all of that stuff, right? So I think, there is obviously a chance that happens. But overall, see, for me, I know what happened in the last season, and it kind of made sense for them to continue with it. But I just didn't like the fact that they have this triangle thing again. It just felt like I really loved the character arc that Steve went through, where he was the jealous ex-boyfriend, learned how to get through it, get along with Jonathan and everyone else, and then became the good guy with Dustin and all of that. So for him to again come back to, I don't know, maybe because he's feeling lonely, because he knows that Robin has someone else for her, and Dustin's pulling away from him, and so it's kind of like this, from this place of like, oh, there's no one for me, so let me kind of maybe just.
I also think, like, I mean, there's this thing, right, like where it's hard to really know where the person is coming from, in the sense that we really don't know if he's actually trying to, while his actions do seem like he's trying to get Nancy back, there might be a realistic chance that he's generally trying to be friends with her, but he just, because he's dated her, he doesn't know where the boundaries lie. right? Like, and it's difficult to kind of differentiate between just being a friend and being a boyfriend, because like he's been there, done that kind of a thing, and now he
Yeah.
doesn't know where he needs to stop, right? And that's where Jonathan's whole thing, and also it doesn't help that Jonathan wasn't there for the longest time, and like they were staying away from each other, and he had kind of cut off from her because of the whole college thing and different ambitions
Yes. Yeah.
and smoking
So
pot and all of that stuff that was happening, having a hell of a time with that pineapple pizza friend that he had made, who's not there in the season so far,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which
That's
quite surprising.
interesting.
But yeah, but again, I mean, his life is there, so I'm guessing it makes sense for him to return back to where he was originally from. Like these guys have moved back into. I mean, it does make sense, right? Like, why would you want to be in this heavily militarized city where you don't
Yeah.
actually not actually from?
I don't think he's there even in the end of season 4 when they're all kind of looking at what's happening to Hawkins. I don't recall him
Is it?
being there.
Oh, okay.
So
Possible.
yeah, you're probably right that he's just probably like, I've done my bit, I'm out. See you
I'm out of
folks.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Peace. Okay. The other thing that uh, I want to talk about in with regards to episode 1 that Carrie probably carries on is Dustin's arc, right? Of
Hmm.
course, with season 4, we see the kind of trauma that Dustin has gone through, especially after Eddie's death. And perfectly reasonable to the way he's going about it. I think, the fact that everyone had been slandering Eddie, the fact that nobody knew what the truth was, and the fact that obviously he lost a friend, he wants to stick up for him, all of that makes sense. A couple of things I didn't like as much was, I think, Steve being the character that he's been, right? From, like you mentioned, in season 2, we saw that friendship blossom, and he's probably Dustin's closest friend, I would say, as opposed to in a weird way. I think it's the elder brother that Dustin never had, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that for me was a bit of a disconnect where he just didn't understand what Dustin was going through, and he thought that Dustin was giving him a hard time. And I felt like the older Steve would kind of be there for Dustin rather than kind of call him out or criticize him for it and start arguing with him. So that felt for me a bit out of character, and it felt a disconnect from what probably was there. Maybe Eddie took on the, or maybe Eddie in season 4 became that sort of Steve character for Dustin, and
Yeah,
then
so
that.
again, like that point, I don't quite agree, because for me, while like in terms of actual chronological order, yes, Steve is the elder one. But if in terms of that relationship in itself, like the brotherly relationship that these two have, I think Dustin a lot of the times felt the more mature character than it was Steve. It felt a lot of times that he was the one kind of helping or guiding
Sure.
Steve on what is right, and like things like that, as opposed to like, because Steve, I feel, as good a character as he is very much self-involved in his own, like, oh, this issue, like this, and it's more often than not the girl issue, right? For him, it's always
Yeah.
been that first Nancy, then there was the Robin thing, and in all of that stuff, I feel like it was more Dustin helping him or trying to like help him figure things out, as opposed to, because I feel Dustin himself was very much sorted out. He knew his shit for the most part, and
Hmm.
he kind of needed Steve's help in terms of like providing the physical support that was required to take on these beastly creatures or whatever that was,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
from that perspective. And coming back to his friendship with these other three friends, that is Will, Mike, and
Lucas.
Lucas. Wow. Uh,
Yeah. Just
yeah,
forget the one person who's, yes.
it's better than calling him out something else. I was going to call him Caleb, which is his real. It's
Wow.
his
Oh,
real name.
yeah, that's his real name. Yeah. Okay.
So, I just wanted to get the name right in the character because I do tend to mix up, like even with Charlie's character, which is I keep doing this. Will's
Jonathan.
brother, Jonathan. Yes, it keeps
Yeah.
happening. Like I'll remember the name and then I'll go to the main, the actual lead's name.
Actor. Yeah.
Okay, coming back to it, like the friendship. Obviously, the four of them are very close, but since season 2, they've been divided for the most part, where it's like Dustin more often than not ended up being with someone like from the
Ah.
elder uh, uh, group of friends batch, as opposed to with his own core group, right? Like whether that is season 2 with him being with Steve, season 3 as well with Steve and Robin
Robin and
and
Erica and all. Yeah.
Erica, yeah. And with season 4, obviously it was with what's his name? Not Bill.
What?
You just called out his name. The one who Hellfire Club, the
Oh
founder,
yeah, Eddie. What do you mean?
Eddie. Yes, Munson.
What are you
Sorry, I keep forgetting the names. So Eddie Munson, right? Like he's been away from the core group for quite some time, so they don't really. I think they don't have that rapport with him like they
No,
used to
so
in the.
I'm not talking. See, with the core group, I completely understand the dynamic there because they never understood Dustin for a long period. I think only in season 1 they were pretty close, but I feel like after that they've always kind of. I remember because Dustin had the demo dog, they always argued with him because he
For
had that and
legit
he.
reasons.
Yeah. For that's what I'm saying, but it just felt like they never really understood Dustin quite well, and they never really spent that much time with because Mike was with Elle and Will was with Joyce and Jonathan and Mike
Also,
and
just to
yeah.
clarify, when I said he was the more mature, Dustin was mature in comparison to Steve's maturity levels, not as a whole, because he does do some really stupid ass shit in terms of one, like season 2 with the demo dog thing, and then in season 5, as we have seen, the whole
Yeah.
prank, which I thought was unnecessary. But then again, like I understand he's going through trauma, and everyone has a way of dealing with trauma in their own this thing. And obviously, like if you really felt a certain way about a certain someone, and like you respected them or loved them and all of that, and if they're being shown in a light which is not true to what they were, then you kind of want to put your foot down or like stand up for them and all of that. I just feel like there are better ways to kind of stand up for it, and him
No,
being in
so
that space.
I mean he's a teenager, so teenage angst and the trauma. I agree with all of that. For me, it just felt like given the amount of time that Steve has spent with Dustin and everything, he noticed that there was something wrong and maybe go and approach him, and that doesn't seem to happen. It's more like I agree. Steve's also got his own ego and like he's more worried about himself and the stuff that's going around just revolving around Steve. So if something doesn't work, he's bitching about that. If it's women, he's cribbing about not having, or what happened to the sister that he ditched and the girl who's helping him jack up his car and all of that shit, right? Like, so he's always talking about himself and the shit that he's gone through. But even so, I think that felt for
What's
me a bit off.
what's the gap between season 4, like the timeline between
I
where
don't know.
Hawkins?
I don't know because so clearly it felt like because Lucas does mention that the day that Holly was kidnapped was close to the day that Will was kidnapped, and
Yeah, but it's been like what, 2 years since the time. Well, it does feel like
yeah, because
it's
obviously
been a
it
while.
can't have been immediately because they've filled up that entire town and brought the military and everything. So you're looking at least a couple of years, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and so it's easy, right? Like in the sense that, see, I don't know in your personal experience, but you do see this in real life, is what I think, where people are understanding to a certain level and over a certain period of time, right? Like if you're going through some stuff, people will understand your situation for a certain period of time. And
But
if they
again,
think
but
that
that see that
you're still stuck in the past and you're not like moving on, or you're not like trying to
but
uh,
No, but I get that, but it's just more like we don't see that. So am I supposed to assume that, or if I'd seen that it had taken that long, and they're like, there's no mention of like, come on, man, you're still doing this shit, like because the core group does still. I mean, they kind of mention it
I
here
think
and
there is
there.
a conversation where Steve does mention it's those guys, right? Like uh, this thing, like you mess around with the kids at this thing, the
Yeah,
Hellfire
yeah,
Club. He knows shit is going on for sure. Like
yeah,
he knows this guy's been poking the beehive or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, so it's not like he's completely out of it. And I think it, like personally, that's how I perceive it. I think over a certain period of time, there was this thing of okay, he's going through shit, but now it's like you've got bigger things to deal with, and like being stuck in the past and trying to make a difference on a front that really doesn't, according to these guys, matter anymore. Um,
yeah.
is not the right approach, and like you really need to kind of change gears and focus on much more important things for the ones that are living right now. Is what I think Steve's thought process is at this point in time. And yeah, so
Okay, so
I,
I mean, then we move on to I suppose the next episode, and for me, crazy beginning, like the opening 15 odd minutes, the vanishing of Holly, where
oh yeah,
the Demogorgon, like I was shit. That was the 10-15 minute, like whatever period where I was like, shit, what's gonna happen right now, right? And especially when Nancy comes in with a shotgun and she sees only the blood down, I was like, for a second, I was like, shit, okay, did they just take them both, or what exactly happened, or did he run away? And my god, that entire scene was insane. I didn't think they would involve the Wheelers as much, especially the mom and dad.
well,
I'm
there's a clear. I mean, yeah, like I mean, to that point, you don't know, but I think obviously the later there is a reveal. There is some link for sure, right? Like it's not just about the kids and the whole this thing. There is something bigger at play here, and there is some. I don't know what happened back in that play or whatever that is, but I feel like Vecna holds a grudge, and so we got to see like how that kind of unravels, if at all, or it's just coincidence. But to that point, it's too hard. Like these days, it's hard to believe there is any such thing as coincidence.
yeah, yeah, but I think that part for me was great, and I think that shows. We've seen the. It is the Wheeler fan. No, is Wheeler? I'm now very confused now. Wheeler is Mike's family.
Father, yeah,
Yeah. So no, but the Wheeler family is them, right? Nancy Wheeler and everyone.
yeah, yeah.
And it's Byers is the other. Correct. Yes. So Wheeler. So we see the Wheeler family, especially the father and the mother, kind of be non-existent as parents in a way, in the sense that like the mother was always in her own world, obviously being ignored tremendously by the father, who was. I love the bacon scene where he asks Holly for bacon, ends up not having any, wants to kick everyone to the curb. So I get all of that entire thing and perfect. But I think in this scene really shows how much probably they care or are protective, because in a way, fine. I mean, it's she's listening to ABBA and she doesn't know have a clue about what's happening. But the moment her daughter comes and she sees the blood and she knows things are real, I love the fact that she goes into, like, they are submerged in the bathtub. She's very
I'm always
protective that way. The one with the wine bottle, I mean, very very protective. Even the father could have just easily been like, and just kept whacking golf balls into the nether realm, but he actually made a
attempt to
surprisingly.
try and figure out what was happening and what needs to be done. And even like when faced, I think they don't show you too much from there, but this thing is obviously he tried to protect his family.
Yeah. So I mean, talking about, yeah, so I want to talk about this entire, I guess, parental guidance that's happening, right? So you have this that happened in the Wheelers. You have Byers in the Buyer household. Joyce basically having parental lockdown on Will. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way she's
It's quite funny that, right? Like how she wants to kind of wrap him in whatever safe cloth or what is that?
bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can find and kind of have him coddled and stuff, make sure he's safe. And on the other hand, she's telling Hopper to like kind of like, why aren't you letting her go? She's ready and stuff like that. And I love how Hop kind of flips that and like, uh, poses the same question to her. And I was like, in that moment, yeah, like, that's so like,
Hypocritical.
that's, yeah, hypocrisy, to say the least. Like, why you kind of say that? Like, it's completely understandable why he's trying to protect her and all of that stuff. Like, although like I do understand that she's the one with the power and probably
Yeah.
the only saving grace for
Yeah.
these guys. But again, like I completely understand where Hop is coming from, and to that point at the end of the conversation, even she understands it.
Yeah, but also like you are being chased by the military, so there's no time to go all guns blazing until you're completely sure that this is where things need to go
Yeah.
towards, right?
Yeah. They obviously need to
And
have a very calculated approach because the enemy is not just what is upside, like what lies beneath the upside down, but what is right in front of you or around you in Hawkins, right? Like, or what's left of Hawkins, basically. And yeah, like military seems stupid to me in this like show. Like they kind of don't seem too smart, to be honest. Like they're being outsmarted by kids.
yeah, and also, I mean, you're in the upside down and you don't have anything to protect you against the Demogorgon. I mean, that entire
Yeah.
truck scene that happened, I was like, what the hell are you guys doing?
I mean, I love the whole thing of setting up a factory inside um, the upside down, and they're doing this research right there and trying to figure things out and all of that stuff. That was great. But considering the sheer um, magnitude of what is being done there, the kind of security provided was shit, man. Like I was like, what the hell is that? Like it just doesn't make sense. And it was so easy for them to just like for L to, under the guise of the whole thunderstorm
Yeah.
that was happening, to kind of just make the jump. And there's only one guard standing on top of that tower. It's like I feel like there are more guards in Ghost of Yota when I'm trying to infiltrate.
I was about to say, I was like,
So
I had a
it's like,
tougher time in Ghost of Yotid jumping from one place to another because I'm pretty sure there's somebody would have seen me. Like there are like so many, and yeah,
yeah.
it was a bit too easy, and I thought that's what it was. I thought it was going to be too easy, and it was going to be a trap in a way, but technically it was. I mean,
So there's like two splits for me here in terms of how the military is being shown, and there could be like a reason for the way it is done. But I feel like, obviously, like I mentioned, for the magnitude of operations taking place in the upside down, it feels the military presence is fairly limited from a guard perspective. Whereas when the whole crawl sequence is happening and the number of people that you see uh, within Hawkins in itself, and which I understand, like there would be a sheer massive presence of military in there to keep the residents safe, like the humans.
yeah. So I mean, I would protect human life more than I would go and give more people into
Yeah,
the upside
but the
down, right? Like,
sheer difference in um, uh, force is quite alarming. Otherwise, like in the sense that you set up operations there and you're doing some like critical work, right? Like you're trying to figure out how to beat this stuff, uh, which means every bit of research that you're doing in there is extremely critical and needs to be protected. From that uh, perspective, it's difficult to believe that they have such limited um, enforcers in there protecting what might be the only saving grace which I mean, they don't know that L is on our side, basically our side. When I say
Yeah, no. So,
the human.
but also, I don't. What are they technically in danger from? I mean, Vecna, I don't think goes near that lab because of the what's hidden inside of it. I'm suppose, right? Who's hidden inside and the power that that person wields, because that's the same person who's able to neutralize L. For me, I don't know. So I'm guessing the government is there to kind of just try and shut down this upside down. I don't think they're after Vecna in any way whatsoever. And I think Vecna's more busy in doing his own shit rather than dealing with anything government related.
Has the military come up against Vecna though? I don't think so.
No, that's what. So for
Do they
me,
even know of his presence? No. As far as they're concerned, L is the only reason for the upside down. She is the culprit, or she's the one to be blamed, and that's the whole um, perspective behind them chasing after her or looking for
yeah,
her and stuff like that. So I guess, yeah, from that perspective, they're trying to nab who they think is the um, person behind this whole um, upside down thing.
yeah.
And I think even to that point, the fact that it's limited, again, like considering how big a issue this seems to be, I'm quite surprised with the military presence within Upside Down, to say the
Yeah,
least. Like, I
fair.
mean, not to spend any more time on that front.
Fair. Oh, but okay. We were talking about plans, so we kind of understand the government's plan, which is let's shut this upside down thing, protect the people of Hawkins. We'll go away. We'll just find L. We'll neutralize her, stop the upside down, do all of that stuff. What's Vecna's plan? Because he just seems like a pedophile.
I swear, right? Even like the whole this thing. Also, I knew immediately it was him when
Yeah. The
I
moment
Holly.
Holly
Yeah,
waved
yeah,
in that
yeah,
from the kitchen door, I was like, yeah, that's
yeah.
Henry. Like, there's no way that anyone thinks like, who's this? Anyone who thinks that, yeah, okay, the less said the better. But
I'd be quite surprised if that turned out to be Max, and somehow
hmm,
Holly had this perceived ability to kind of see into the upside down in certain ways. Like that would be like a very surprising thing. But I mean, again, would have linked to her being one of the first ones to spot a Demogorgon, right, in season one.
hmm,
So I thought
right.
maybe like one of those things that, again, like there's no reason why she should be having any sort of powers. But I'm just saying like something happened or
No,
something like that, and
so there is something, because honestly, my sister, when we watched the trailer before the trailers happening, and you remember that they had the first teaser that they released was the episode titles, right?
yeah,
And one was the vanishing of, and at that point of time, my sister said that there is some connection between Henry's family that was in that house, right? Because they show some flashback of Henry's family, right? That family and the Wheeler family, there was some sort of weird connection, and she knew
there
straight
is a
away that,
definite connection.
yeah,
I mean, the connection that we know of by the end of this season is that they definitely were in a same play together or whatever that was, like that Joyce was
yeah,
directing, and it had multiple, and obviously Wheeler was a part of that as well. So clearly there's some thing that's gone and happened, and why these families are involved. I think Karen was also in that play.
hmm,
Karen, so Ted, I mean the father and the mother, Joyce, Hopper, what's his name?
Hopper,
Jim? James. What's his name?
James
James or
Hopper,
Jim?
yeah, I think so. I don't know,
Jim.
Hopper,
This is
Sheriff
Jim
Hopper,
Hopper.
Jim
Sheriff
Hopper,
Hopper. Jim
yeah,
Hopper, yeah. Yeah. All of them are in that play. Uh, I don't know who the name Newbie is, the surname. Have you ever seen a newbie in the Stranger Things universe before?
it's not Barbara's side, right?
Is it? Oh,
because I did read something about her. Them kind of explaining what happened to Barbara, because she was the anomaly out of everything.
True. Why her?
Yeah, why?
And why kill her?
Exactly, right? So I'm intrigued. It's an exciting theory. I'm or an exciting setup in a way. I want to know what Will Drew and what that entire thing is happening, where he's basically tying up children to different pillars, I suppose,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And the one thing I was felt a bit of a, obviously has this exposition in the end, right, when he captures Will, and he
It
says
felt like
that,
a letdown, right? The
yeah, it
reasoning.
felt, yeah, the reasoning felt like, what the hell is
Yeah.
that? It
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what?
that I had the same feeling. I was like, okay, like I thought there was a more grand scheme to it, not just that they're easy to break and like that's the whole reason I've been chasing
I,
after the
I don't
kids.
know what happens if it means what like throwing a Molotov, burning yourself, and being shot at and falling off a three-story building. I'll do that if it gives me a waistline like the new Vecna. Bloody hell, he lost so much of weight and he looks so cool. I
I
love the
know, right?
design. I love the sort of armor that he has around him. But where's the fat bald man, that bald monster that was chasing people in season 4? Like he's completely changed. And yeah, I mean, I kind of maybe liked some parts of the old version, but
They
this
helped
I
burn
really
his
love the.
fat on season 4 end, so
That's true.
that's why the
Yeah,
shredded look that he's got
that's
in this
maybe the
one.
best phase. It doesn't mean when people say burn fat, they don't mean exercise at all. They mean throw a
So
Molotov cocktail
literally,
on.
exactly. That's exactly what happened. That explains it. Like that's exactly why Vecna's been missing. I suppose. Like I mean, the transformation is the reason why he's been missing for the past 2 years or whatever. They have been looking for
Or
him.
also
30
and
odd.
also building that entire wall around
Oh
Hawkins,
yeah,
which was
yeah. Took
uh,
him some time. He had to do it by himself, and like a few demagogues in there. You know what I'm sad about is the lack of the presence of demodogs in this. Like it's only demogorgons. I thought, considering it's the last season, they probably have like a combination of all the creatures that have been there so far. Demogorgons, demodogs, and the bats that you see. Uh, by the like, bats are all gone from like
yeah.
what?
So
Just because he got burnt, the bats are all gone. Like what happened?
So
Um,
Demodogs, what happens? So in Demodogs, they burn the Demodogs as well, right? Like that's what happens in that.
there
I
were a
remember
lot of
Steve throwing.
demodogs that come in season 2. By the end of it, when she shuts it down, they all kind of collapse. The question is, were all demodogs had like infiltrated Hawkins? Not a single one of them stayed back in the Upside Down. Like was that like the entire army sent out, and that's why they don't exist anymore? Okay, fair enough. Like even if that was the case, what about the bats? Like you're not
Yeah,
telling me that that whole sequence just because what's his name
Eddie.
Vecna,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
the whole like Vecna got burnt and then they all collapsed and stuff, and like that's why it's ended and stuff like that. You don't see them around anymore and stuff. And there's a lot more of also okay. Like I don't know if they explain this. Why are they suddenly able to breathe the air like it's normal in the Upside Down? There are no masks, nothing. Like wasn't
Oh
it supposed to be
yeah.
toxic?
Yeah. That's why initially Joyce and Hopper wore the mask to save Will from the Upside Down, wasn't it? In season.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I remember it being.
Yeah.
And I understand it's like short stints. I
So
understand when it's unplanned. Like for instance, L going into the Upside Down in this series, it happens as a spur of the moment. It's not planned. So her not having a mask, I completely get. Why does Hopper not have a mask when he's supposed to be in there for a crawl?
but no, no, none of the even the military don't have. But even in season 4, Eddie and all, nobody wore masks, right? When they were playing when he was
Yeah,
playing
like
in the guitar.
okay, but again, like see, that is like short term exposure. I get it. It's not short term that matters, I suppose. but what is exactly short term? Because in the first season, it felt like even being in there for some time, they were like struggling to breathe
Yeah,
normally, kind of thing.
I'm trying to
So,
think where else. So in the Upside Down, in the second one, I'm
and
guessing they
even
didn't do much
in
in the
the end
second.
of at the end of season 4, when the whole thing kind of opens up, it starts bleeding into suddenly the atmosphere
Yeah,
changes,
yeah.
right? So I know they've locked that up and all of that stuff, but I still feel that it's kind of weird that they're just walking around.
Yeah, it
Uh,
felt like you had those plumes of smoke and that red color
yeah,
thing coming in from outside. So, yeah, but you're right. I did think there was a lack of Demogorgons, and I was intrigued to see them because initially, if you remember, when the Demogorgon jumps the military vans and tries to kill them, you know, the
yeah,
vision that we see from Will's angle is almost like you're a Demodog, which is on your
in the
fours
dog.
and you're running
Yeah,
and you're jumping up. But then I was like,
yeah.
oh, it's a Demogorgon again. So that was a bit annoying.
That's also the thing. Like, for me, it would be nice if the creatures had like specific things that they were good at. Like, demo dogs are all about speed, but not so much about strength. Demogorgons are slower and can't really move at a quicker speed, but they're like tremendously strong, right? Like, it just makes sense to kind of uh, have like those specific creature types and like give them those. Now it feels like the Demogorgon is like extremely overpowered. He's got like crazy speed to keep up with the trucks and stuff. And at the
Strength.
same time, strength is like next level. So I don't know. It just feels weird. I mean, it could also
So
be that Vecna's
honestly,
got
but
stronger.
yeah, but considering that this entire TV show is kind of based on Dungeons and Dragons, where
Hmm.
each piece has its superiority or its positives or its
Yeah,
specialness and its weaknesses, you would think that that's how they're playing it, that certain characters, certain creatures are strong in something. So you're right. I never really thought about it until now, but that would have been really cool that you see the demo dogs do all of the chasing and the doing all that. And I love the fact that the demogorgons are the sort of servants where they go grab the child, deliver him them to Vecna. Makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Like they are the perfect sort of, well, kind of lap dogs in a way. But yeah, or the servants of Vecna, right? So
mm,
that's an interesting thing. But talking about Vecna's plan, right? It was it's in like I thought the reasoning was weak, and I also not sure what Henry's plan is by keeping Holly there. I'm sure there is a lot more deeper connection because she's not hooked on to. No, wait, I don't know how this works because she's obviously
yeah.
also
She is.
hooked on. She's hooked on,
Yeah,
but she's then transported to the prison world, right? So I'm
the
guessing now
prison.
the other kids would also be there in the prison world, and I'm trying to understand what that entire plan is going to look like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering if it's to do with the consciousness itself. Maybe Vecna chooses on who he lets roam uh, freely, or it could also be that he's got multiple sections and different kids are placed at different points so that they're not
Possibly.
speaking to each other. Because obviously she does say it's massive and like there are like different points and stuff like that. Also, I was intrigued by this whole uh, canyon-like thing. I don't know exactly what it is, but where you see Max, like where she's made a home and all of that stuff. To see what the story behind that is. Um, she steps out to that front, which looked a lot like to me uh, the point where you see Henry uh, initially when he's comes into the upside down.
Yeah.
You know the part where he sees the mind flayer cloud or whatever that is before it turns into mind flayer, right? It just looked similar to me from that, but I'm interested to see what that whole story is in terms of why he doesn't want to go beyond that point, right? Like, uh, the whole thing. So intrigued by it. I hope it's not as simple as what you see with the kids, like the reasoning behind why he's chasing after kids. I just hope it's not the same.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, there definitely seems to be a lot more to it than what we just seen initially, and I hope the reasoning is a lot better because, like I said, it was a little. But let's talk about Max because I kind of liked how they went about with the character because there were two ways that this could have gone, right? Post whatever happened in season 4, they could have jump time to a point where she wakes up maybe in episode 1 or 2. Especially, I thought that was going to be the case where Lucas is talking to her and you see it goes to the monitor and it goes up maybe slightly, and I thought she'd wake up
Yeah,
at that point. Or you could just maybe not have her do anything for the season 1, and maybe at the end of volume 1, sorry, of season 5, volume 1 of season 5, at the end she wakes up, right? Like the trope, normal trope. But I like the fact that she's sort of the guiding light or the guiding person in Vecna's prison world.
yeah,
In
yeah. I
in
think you'll still get that trope in probably season 5, volume 2 end, and then you go into the finale with her. I think in the trailer you do see Caleb lifting her and making her run for it at some point.
okay,
So
right.
So there is definitely some aspect of that. I think Vecna wants to put an end to her for good, kind of a thing, and probably sends its lapdogs to take care of her, kind of a thing, right? Like, and we'll come to that. And I suppose, like, I do expect that to happen. Probably, I think the best would be like season 2, I mean, not season 2, volume 2 end, like the finale of it, so that she's there for the last massive episode that lies in the real, in the physical realm, or whatever you want to call it, right? Like in the
But
right side
I
up.
love the way where she wakes up and she's already where 11 when at the place point where 11 beats
Yeah,
Vecna, and then I love the fact that she traverses different points in her life, and that's where through that we kind of get a glimpse into the Henry backstory, or the 30
yeah,
years ago
yeah,
what happened. And I'm guessing that's how we learn, I think, as to what happens to Vecna, what that entire connection is. I think through Max is maybe we'll understand that rather than from the other side of things.
yeah,
And one of the other central characters of this entire show, and especially with season 5, is Will. And I think here the focus is, yes, Will's always been sort of the medium for the bad things to happen in a way. Like he's become like the Silver Surfer in a way where he heralds trouble. And I kind of liked it earlier on. I feel like now, I don't know, the acting's a bit off. Okay, I did. I mean, whatever, said and done. That's fine. But obviously, Will is the major character. I think central focus character because of what happened in season 1. I like the fact that it comes back down to Will, and that is the best choice. What happens in the end, though, for me, I am torn. um it was cool what happens in like how it happens, but knowing what we know about, I guess here's where I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible so that we do not get cancer. But what we know about the actor, right, and how that story was progressing using Robin as the sort of guiding light in a way, or the sort of mentor there to kind of get him to
mm,
open field. And we knew this about Will for a while now. It's not like something suddenly happened. But
yeah,
uh, so I felt like there was a sort of society slash political undertone in how and what's happened there. Let me
okay,
just keep it at that. So I don't want to get into the deeper thing, but given the words that were said out loud or said during that entire end sequence, right?
mm,
Where he eventually learns how to harness Vecna's power.
Yeah.
I think that does have, it does that whole thing of, I wouldn't say woke, but it's a definite societal / political undertone of give power to the
Okay.
others
Okay.
in a way.
Wow. I kind of didn't take away. I think I was just taken aback by the whole cool factor of the whole this thing. Like I really love the fact that he was able to tap into um, Vecna's psychic abilities. Felt very Harry Potter-esque connection with Voldemort in a lot of ways, in terms of
So
how
that's
like
been
how
happening here.
they're able
This
to
became Bollywood
the
slightly.
share the abilities in terms of Harry being able to speak the tongue, Parselmouth, right?
Yes, parcel
Um,
time. Yes.
yeah, so all of that, like I actually like the whole thing, and I think that scene was damn cool to the point where it helped make up to a certain point from the whole debacle that I thought was Vecna's justification of why he was targeting the kids. Like
Hmm.
I was like, I don't feel convinced. Like it does not, like Vecna sounds stupid when he's saying that kind of a thing, right? Like it's just like,
Yeah.
can we have a better reason? Like I really love the fact that he's targeting those kids, and like it's kind of like this whole thing of um he initially targeted Will and that group of kids and all of that stuff. So clearly there was, but probably it would have been better if they kind of phrased it in a better way or something. I don't know. Like the reasoning didn't
I,
feel
so I'm
earned.
still wondering. I'm still wondering what that plan is with all those kids, because I felt there was a more personal angle to why he maybe chose Will, and I felt that could have been a more powerful way about going things. And I, because Will was the weaker willed, I suppose, amongst the group
Among
in
the four.
season one, right? He was
Yeah.
the one that was a little more scared, a little more unsure of himself. So I like the fact that Vecna targeted him. Oh,
But that's
but
always been the case. I think Vecna targets people who have insecurities or doubts in their head about certain things and
yeah, he's
stuff. And it's clear
basically
with Will that was the
it.
case. It has been the case for the longest time. And
Yeah,
maybe like that's where season 5 he's able to kind of finally tap into it, is because he's accepting his, like, doing away with his insecurities. He feels more himself and he's accepting of who he is and all of that stuff. Obviously it's like the 80s and the 90s or whatever, like I think close to the 90s at this point.
yeah, yeah,
81,
slightly
80, 87, I don't know, but
87.
we're
Yeah,
close to the 90s, and it's that point in time where I guess um, being that way was not obviously socially. I don't know if it
it's
was
not,
socially
because obviously
acceptable.
Robin's not. Robin was very clear that it cannot go out that she's seeing that nurse, right?
Oh,
Like it's
yeah,
so it's clearly not an accepted practice, I suppose.
yeah, yeah.
And so I understand that. Uh,
So I'm
yeah.
not
So
sure if it was like an accepted lifestyle back in the 80s. Obviously,
did I
like,
say practice?
yeah,
Yeah. In a way, sure. Yeah, it wasn't an accepted lifestyle. Sure, correct. Um, and definitely not. I think at that point it was pretty clear, and I think there were a lot of it. It wasn't accepted. It wasn't. I think people wouldn't have understood it in a way. I think Joyce kind of does know about Will, because obviously her mother knows a lot more, and I think she's
I
able
think
to
she
tell. So
knew
she
from the
never.
start, right? Like
Yeah.
when he does the whole drawings and stuff. I think
Yeah, yeah.
his affinity.
Earlier itself, I think she was talking about Hopper, about how Will is different. People pick on him and
Yes,
all of that. So there is definitely, she understands all of that, and we as an audience get to probably see that a lot more. I think in the last season, where there is a lot more on that front. I think a lot more
yeah,
hints on that front, and yeah. So here I was See, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't really the same. But I wish you didn't have to kind of use it. It felt on the nose for me. So, but I get it. I like the fact that he was this un, insecure, unsure kid, and he's now getting his power back. And it's his friends who's helped him do that. And I love the sort of montage that we get to see of the young Will and his brother and doing all that fun. That was a really nice montage. Then you get to see him use his power. You're right. It is Harry Potter esque, but I didn't like that end scene where he wipes the blood off and it becomes very Bollywood like. I'm like, I love the part where you're like twisting the Demogorgons are dying and all of that, but then that entire superhero shot where he does that and it's like,
I
you're
love
not
it.
here.
Yeah. I love Bollywood, so
Yeah, I
it
know.
makes. I'm glad there's someone else now, and it's not just L. Like there are more people in there. We've got obviously Kali being brought in to the fold, so it's good that you've got more people with power in there
Yeah.
to tackle Vecna's onslaught.
For me though, my favorite character for Volume One, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, was Robin. For I loved her performance like completely. I love the quirkiness side of things. The 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 fun side is great, but also the quirkiness where she helps Will get out of that place, like basically dupe the mom, dupe Joyce, and
Yeah,
take him away. I love the sort of relationship that stuff that's happening as well with her. Also, the when she talks about the Great Escape and the whole Tom, Dick, and Harry, and
yeah,
she's so awkward, but it's so fun to watch her. And honestly, I think one of my favorite characters. But also because of the fun nature and the kind of person that she is, I'm also slightly scared about what's gonna happen to her. She kind
yeah,
of does feel like she could be the
yeah,
indispensable
yeah,
or
yeah.
dispensable. Sorry, she's not indispensable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, that's one of those uh, characters that probably is under threat uh, of not making it to the finale or thereafter. Um, Also, that's one of the reasons why I think Steve is the one who survives, because that loss will linger on heavier if
Yeah.
he lives on, right? So I think I definitely get those feels. For me, this season, my favorite is that kid, the new kid that's come.
Oh
Derek, oh
no,
my god,
really?
what a casting and what a character! I love how he's this irritating kid that you come across, such a
So
bully right from the
initially, I
get go.
thought they were picking on him because he's the big kid, he's the chubby fat kid, right? And then it
Right.
turns out that he's the bully and he starts doing shit. I was like, oh, what a
Yeah. And I love that whole thing of going from what uh, Dick Derek, what is it? What is it? What is it? What do they call it?
oh
Into
yeah,
delightful Derek.
delightful Derek. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I love that whole sequence of him sitting down with the kids and sending them in one by one and stuff like that. The whole chase sequence also in the barn or whatever. Where is it that they're stuck? I don't recall.
Yeah,
Like
in the
that.
but for me, it's that family dinner scene. It's hilarious where Erica has to basically tranquilize all
Oh,
of them with in
yeah,
the with the pie.
yeah, yeah. That was pretty cool too. And the part where he's gaming and his sister comes to call him and
Yeah,
all of that stuff. It was pretty insane. Yeah. So for me, in the volume one, I think that kid kind of stole the show for the part he had. It was very memorable, and I really enjoyed his character, like the way it was represented, and kind of in that short span of time that he got, he kind of left a very strong presence in there, and that was nice to see, kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean,
for
it's
me, I don't know. I kind of like the different versions I saw of Robin. I think there was that quirkiness, there was the funny, proper funny, and then there's that obviously a little more on the mentor, mature side of her as well. And yeah, man, I mean, like she looks like no matter how like I've seen her in all those movies and TV shows, but keeps reminding me so much of her mom. Like she's got like the spitting image of her mother, and I'm like, damn, that's so uncanny. But you can probably see also why she's probably been the more successful actor of the lot.
I haven't seen movies her in any of the movies, or even if I have seen her, I can't recall. So I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I think of all the characters that have been there, leaving out Millie, who's done a lot of
Yeah,
like
Millie. Yeah,
big projects. I can't really think of anyone else
Finn.
who's
Finn has
again
done.
Finn is there in it. So and obviously Ghostbusters.
Yeah, so Ghostbusters is what did you say before that? It. Oh yeah, right. He was in it. Correct. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, those are like two major
Yeah, I think
franchise.
I think even Finn. So
Caleb?
Mike. No, so I'm saying Mike was a pretty. Yeah, but I think his role is slightly diminished, maybe because it's now focusing on the others. But he
I
still
think
has
it's
his
always been the
moments.
same. No, he's been that main support character in the sense that he's always saying the right words or uh, kind of guiding these guys what they need to do to kind of tap into all of that. First, he was doing that for Elle. Now he's doing that for Mike. Sorry, for Bill.
Will,
Uh,
Will.
and even for his sister, right? Like that conversation he has when um, their mother is called in because she speaks to some imaginary figure. Holly is speaking to some imaginary figure, and that whole thing of him handing over the heroic Holly
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
to his
Heroic
sister.
Holly.
I
Yeah,
really like that conversation as a like a older brother
yeah.
caring that stuff was pretty cool, and even the scene he shared with um, Nancy, where their relationship has kind of evolved from where it has
Hmm.
been in the past. Obviously, they're going under like they're under huge duress because of the situation their parents are in, like the condition they're in, all of that, and like just how they're kind of there for each other in that moment also felt very genuine and nice. So yeah, I think like it's more of the same characters you've kind of seen,
That's
and
true.
I
Actually,
don't
yeah.
have a issue with the character arcs so far because I feel like they're true to what has been placed for these characters from the beginning, like where it's been shaping up to. I liked
Yeah.
Will's this thing of it was very cool for me that he was able to tap into the power thing and stuff. I really didn't pay too much attention to what you mentioned earlier. Like I think I was just too taken aback by the whole cool factor of the scene in itself. And I really like that bit, and also
Yeah,
kind of
for me that threw me off. The twist, which was him tapping into the Vecna thing. I didn't think that's the route that they were going to go with. I knew Will was going to play a central character. I thought he was going to be a lot more, you know, the the one that they couldn't trust, or in the sense that he had that link to Vecna, right?
yeah.
And so maybe Vecna was going to use it or something like that. And but I like the twist. I don't think personally I don't think that episode needs to be the highest rated episode of Stranger Things, which it is. Um, I I thought it was all right. It was nice, but I've had much fun in the earlier seasons than I've had.
I agree with that. Like, yeah, even I was surprised with like I hadn't seen it. Obviously, like I saw the rating for the episode later because it popped up on the feed that it was the
I
highest
don't know
rated.
what the rating is. I just read that it was the highest, so I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
really?
at 9.8, I think, out of 10.
Shit.
And
Okay.
uh,
No, that seems
the
for me.
others have maxed out at 9.5 or 9.6 previously.
Yeah, because for me the best one was probably in season two, where with poor Bob at the in the hospital, that entire thing. That was for me one of my favorite episodes because that really upped the scales in a lot of different ways. So, uh, I yeah, I'm not sure about that. But overall, what do you think going forward? What do you see happening, at least in volume two? I'm not like when we do volume two, I'll ask you about the final
Yeah,
finale. But
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I'm
okay,
just hoping to stick the landing.
actually, leave what you think will happen. What do you want to see in volume
Hmm.
two?
Okay. I I hope Vecna was just duping us by saying that the reason why he took the kids was that like it's not anything bigger, like grander than that. Because honestly, it just feels weird for it. Like okay, it's easy to break them, so I'm just taking them in because like that's the easiest approach. Like it took him so many years to kind of figure that out. Okay, let me just get the kids in. They're the
Yeah,
easier ones breakthrough kind of a thing. Like he was the first one, well, and if he was able to break him so easily, why did he wait so long to kind of try and break the others kind of a thing? The
and
only question is
none of the
the
other
kids were not.
none of the other sort of minions that he sent did anything to any other kids except for this group essentially. Like they were targeting only this group. So just suddenly that he decided, oh, actually, fuck this group. I'll go get actual kids. These kids have grown up too much. I've waited too long for season five.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
yeah,
get.
didn't have the time. So Holly, the connection I understand, right? Like still from the this thing, like the other kids.
Yeah.
Um,
So kidnapping Holly, perfect, great. But what are the other kids going to do? Like, what is the plan there?
unless
And
their parents were also part of this
play.
play, and some real shit went down with Creel, where he was extremely humiliated or embarrassed, whatever happened,
And
and
that too, it
that's the
happened,
whole reason
and that
behind
too, it
why.
happened in a cave. It happened in a cave where he got embarrassed in the cave. That's why when Max ran into the cave, he was like shit
Papa
scared.
was like, oh no, this reminds me
Yeah.
of that part where I had to come through the cave or some shit, and this happened and stuff. I don't know what it is. Maybe he shit his pants when they went out for a field trip or something.
And
And these guys,
the brown nature of the caves got to him. It's like, oh shit, I've seen this brown before. Or
yeah,
or because Max went through the crack, he's like, I've seen this crack
oh,
before.
okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think let's put a pin on this. Like, let's just move on from this
uh,
conversation.
I honestly, you're right. I want to see a lot more of that Vecna backstory. I think there's a lot of flesh in there for it to.
Yeah, that's my worry though. Like from season, like the volume two that comes, I'm just worried like if there's enough time to cover everything that needs to be covered because I feel like instead of closing the loop, we've opened up like a lot of other things now. And now you've got to like deal with everything that was already open. And now with this additional threads there, you kind of need to answer those things and then wrap everything up by the last thing. Like so far, the build up is good for me. It's fine. It's like as long as the next five do this thing of sticking the landing, it's all cool. It
Yeah,
could easily turn out to be what happened with Game of Thrones, where they rushed through a lot of
I
things.
did warn you during the trailer that we did that do not
Yeah,
have that high expectation because things can get a bit sour. But honestly, um, apart from the Vecna thing, I want to understand, how he sent the mind flayer, all of that, right? Like what? Obviously,
there
he's
is
got
so
an
much,
army,
right?
that
Like,
entire.
yeah, and to the point where when you initially see him in that world, he said these creatures already existed in there, kind of a thing, right? So, uh, was Mind Flayer like an actual sort of entity in itself, and he just invaded its mind, or he just literally created that as a facade of for himself of
No, I
sorts? Like
think
I
the
don't
mind
understand.
because for me, it felt like at least in season three or so, the mind flayer was the biggest bad villain, right? Because
Yeah,
that was the massive ass creature that had all of the stuff. Now, I have a feeling that he took over. I think he's tamed the mind flayer in a way,
okay.
right?
I just thought
But
for me, I thought maybe mind flayer was just a facade. It was him, basically, right? Like it's just like a he didn't want to unveil himself to everyone else, so he kind of portrayed the mind flayer to be the mind behind the flame or like everything that was happening. Whereas it was, I don't know, this could also have been already answered. Maybe we've just not
Yeah,
watched
I
enough.
have a feeling that maybe there is a part where I'm trying to think whether something like this was mentioned, but
I think
can't really
I think
remember. But
season 4 they might have mentioned this. I feel like he did say that he um kind of
it
like
was all me, Max. It was all me.
yeah. So my only worry is the pacing at which they kind of need to be able to
Well, so most of these were what, like 50 minutes, except for the last one, which was nearly an hour and a half.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe I don't think everything will be an hour plus. I think they'll still stick to almost the same thing. Now, how much of the story is really left to tell? Because more of it, I have a feeling, is more from now understanding Vecna's side. Because I think I understand what the kids' angles are and the story. I don't think there's much there. Maybe Max, there might be. It's a good thing to maybe also just quickly. I think the last thing is maybe just look at. I think they did share the episode titles, right?
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So episode 5 is called Shock Jock. Interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Episode 6 is Escape from Camazots. So I'm guessing that is your Max escaping from Camazots is the prison, right? That
Yeah,
Holly
yeah.
calls. So I'm guessing that's the scene where Lucas is probably carrying Max and
Mm-hmm.
running around, right? So that's that. The 7th one is called The Bridge.
Okay.
So you've only got 3 episodes, is it?
Yeah, it's 8 in total, right? So
Yeah,
you
so
got
you've got
three,
three
and then
only.
the finale is the ninth.
Yeah. So I have
No,
a
sorry,
feeling
finale is the eighth.
finale is the 8th, yeah. So the next one is Shock Jock, Escape from Camazots, and The Bridge. So the bridge, I'm guessing, is what Vecna's major plan is. So you're right. So if it's 3 episodes, I can't see them only being 50 minutes. If that is the case, then we are rushing through a lot.
A lot, yeah, yeah. I'd be quite worried about how much we leave out and like the uh, loops that are not closed within
Yeah.
that time. I mean, again, we also have that finale. We don't know how long that is. I don't know if they've put out the time for that as well. We know it's going to be released in theaters as well.
Right. Yeah.
I'm guessing definitely an hour and a half is like a sure end. Like there's no way it's anything lesser than that. But if it's going to be more, that's what we kind of have to wait and watch.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's nothing mentioned about the timing. So we leave it like that. But yeah, for me, I am hoping they. You're right. I think also if there is going to be a death or two or whatever, I don't want it to be swept under the rug. I need that pain to be felt.
Yeah, yeah. True.
Also, the one thing is, I think the Duffer Brothers did mention that there's going to be a very, very gruesome death in Stranger Things. I think we already saw that. If what I think, um, so it's essentially when one of the soldiers wakes up and Vecna just puts his hand through his face.
Oh, okay, okay. So I hope that's what they were referring to.
Yeah, because
Hopefully.
I can't think of. I hope none of the actual cast part of that,
But yeah, yeah. Who knows?
but for
Never
me,
know.
that was one of the most gruesome ones. Okay, last thing, I think just before we kind of wrap up, because I think we've gone a little way ahead, but Doctor K, not the Doctor K, but
Mhm.
Doctor K, flat,
Yeah.
didn't care
They
much.
failed.
Yeah, I
They
mean, love
failed the
Linda.
threat at the level of I like the level of threat I expected to feel. I
Yeah,
didn't feel as scared as I should have for Elle, perhaps. Um,
yeah, I got more scared by Papa, Papa. than I do
I'm
with
actually
Dr.
more
Evil.
scared of the general or whoever it is that kind of is running around looking for her, right? Like he's got this aura of being a little more, uh,
Yeah,
I don't know, like scary. And that's not to say from a perspective like you've seen enough people who aren't actually involved in the battle, but are like shit damn scary because of the plots they have and all of that and the strategy they pull and shit like that. We've seen this before, kind of a thing.
yeah.
So from that perspective, I think it's a major letdown. My
I think
my major one major gripe with this season, again, I understand it's about evolution, and the show can't always feel the same from that perspective. But I love the show for the innocence it had.
yes,
Obviously the
yes.
kids have now
No,
grown up and
but
um,
that innocence is when I is perfectly found when the planning is happening and when that
exactly
like
right. But that's it. I
that's
don't
it.
see, I don't see more of that after, and that's the thing I think I miss the most about. I also get it, like that's how life is. It doesn't always stay the same. You kind of things change and
Yeah,
stuff like that. But it just
but I guess that happens a lot. Like even in Harry Potter, I prefer the first three because of the slight innocence of the kids rather than what how dark it becomes later on. And I feel like here as well, like I love the innocence of the first, and there are elements of it which I like the fact that I maybe want a little more of that. Uh, because it doesn't have to be the childhood innocence, but I just love that camaraderie that they all have in planning it, and how things are going, and just the fun nature of just them hanging out and saying stupid stuff, acting like kids that they are. So that I wish there was a little more of it, and but again, that all comes down to pacing and the timing, right? This is what happens when you, despite having being a TV show, you take time because of whatever hurdles, and then you only have like 8 episodes. And I feel like 8 episodes are never enough for TV shows. Like it never is. Like it has to be 10. No matter what you say, it has to be 10 or 12. Like that has to be the norm. I hate the fact that people are just cutting it down to 8 episodes. And
still think a lot can be covered if it's all like an hour and a half each episode. Then it makes
yeah,
sense. Because it's like
or the
45
story
minutes.
isn't as grand as you made a story so grand, and you've introduced so many cool characters and different characters, and we want to spend time with them,
Yeah, and
unfortunately.
I kind of like, I get it. You want to try different things, and like as in when a new season comes out and stuff. But I think when you're looking to close out a series, I think the focus should always be this is what we have open. We need to make sure we wrap all of this up. Again, like a lot of this is being said because the way in which the show is, the final season is coming out, which is broken down into multiple. Uh,
Yeah, but also we're saying this with having past experiences of being let down, plus also the fact that we only know that there are only 3 more episodes or 4 more at max, right? So we know that time's not on their hand per se to kind of do all of that. And I think, for like you said, I think any finale season is best when it closes its loop and does a full circle and connects back to what the first thing.
yeah.
And one more thing that I don't know why a lot of people have not spoken about. They found that to be okay. The CGI for Will in
Oh,
episode one.
really? People
Yeah,
found out. Okay, I saw a couple of posts where people were like, "Who is that? Who's that
yeah. So
child?"
online, but I've seen like people reacting to it and saying, "Oh, it's actually not bad. They've managed to do." I was like, "No, it looks so different. It's so bad." Like,
Yeah.
see, honestly, that's again a point where I'm sure the duffers may have already. I don't know how their thought processes is, but say for example, if we are writing a story, like I would probably kind of already know where I want my ending to be or how I want my story to end
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. So,
And I
and
thought that was always the case with them. I think
no,
the
so in
problem
which
is
case I would have
certain.
shot a lot more in that first maybe thing to that extra footage and then maybe
Maybe
released
they
it.
did. Maybe they were just not happy with what they had from before, and probably thought it was better to do the AI
It
angle. I still don't think
was.
it was a good idea. Maybe go the different route of doing that. The drawing thing, how they kind of have all of that stuff. Like in when people are telling stories about something, They kind of flesh it out on drawings or something
Yeah.
like that. And you have
Or
uh,
or maybe have, I don't know, man. It was it CJ or was it some other actor? I don't know, but it definitely felt off. And there's,
it
I
is
don't
CGI,
know.
right? It is
I
CGI. I don't
it
studio.
yeah yeah. So it's that same thing what they did with. I'm pretty sure, but for that you think the amount of budget that they would do a decent job there. But
They had what Star Wars did with Luke Skywalker, right?
so yeah, so Star Wars did with Luke Skywalker. The initial bit was a little bit jarring at the start. Then they hired
Not
somebody who,
this jarring.
not this jarring. Sure, yeah. But I'm saying you could still see that it was. But later on, they hired the guy who did this YouTube stuff where he did AI perfectly, and he nailed it later on in the Ahsoka series and all that. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a budget, fair, but I think better planning could have sorted that out. And I wasn't a huge fan. Even when you sent me that first 5 minute thing, and I remember us discussing about all of that, what happened in the first episode and all. But when I saw that, I was like, oh no, no. But I guess time will tell whether our concerns are validated or, just pure
Or
concerns
they
and there's
managed to
nothing to
stick
be
the
worried
landing,
about.
which we
Yeah,
are hopeful for.
yeah.
Because
Stick
we've
the
put
landing
in
like a demogorgon.
almost 10 years into this, if not more.
Yeah. Should be. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because 2017 was season 2, so definitely 2015 would have been one, right? So, yeah. But I guess that's all the time we have to discuss, rate, review Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1. Don't forget to hit the like button, share with friends and family, click on whatever buttons you need to do in order to ensure that. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, meet us in the Upside Down at some point or the other. And we'll catch you all once we head back to Hawkins, I guess, in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, see you.